Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start with a story about a bizarre encounter with a confused and angry Karen. Imagine someone innocently picking up breakfast from Taco Bell and Carl's Jr., only to be followed and harassed by Karen who mistakes Star Wars decals for communist stickers. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Karen in the drive-thru. Well, folks, my faith in humanity has fallen just a little more today. Some people just have absolutely no clue on how to behave in society. This morning, I'm out and about picking up breakfast for the missus and myself. She prefers Taco Bell, I prefer Carl's Jr. Monster biscuits are amazing. I pull into the Taco Bell drive-thru, and as I'm ordering, another car pulls up behind me and just starts blaring their horn. I'm trying to finish up, but this woman just doesn't stop. All the while, she's screaming out the window that I'm a terrorist and a communist. I'm your average Caucasian American male, and I have no idea why she's screaming these things. I pull forward to the pickup window. Karen's still screaming at me, but has given up on honking. Maybe she annoyed herself with it. The employee asked if I know this person. I do not. She hands me my bag, and I leave the drive-thru. Karen follows me out. So I pull up to the exit and make like I'm going to turn right, but at the last second I pull a left, and now she's stuck at the stop sign waiting for her turn. I continue down the street, make a quick right into a bank parking lot, and wait there for a few minutes hoping she gave up. After about 2 minutes and she's nowhere to be seen, I decide she went on about her crazy day, and I continue down the street. A couple blocks past the Taco Bell's, my breakfast stop, Carl's Jr. I pull into the drive-thru. I'd already ordered online for pickup. Points equals free food. And I'm asked to park while they wait for the fresh tater tots and French toast sticks. As I pull into my usual parking spot, Karen returns. She spotted me and decided to peel into the parking lot and parked right next to me. I roll up my window as she approaches, and she starts screaming at me again how I'm an imperial communist, that I need to go back to my own country, that I'm a terrorist. I think she assumed I was Russian. I don't know. The manager of the Carl's comes out to give me my food. I'm an almost daily regular here, so we shoot the breeze for a few minutes and sees this Karen going off on me. She asks her what the problem is. The Karen rants to her the same thing she's been ranting at me the few moments she's been there. I roll down my window to get my food, at least she didn't try to take that, and then tell the Karen, "What in the hell are you talking about? I'm not a terrorist. I've lived in the USA all my life, and I have no idea what the hell you're on about." And then she explains herself. "What about all these communist stickers all over your car? What's that Arab language say, huh?" And then it hits me. I'm a Star Wars nut. I drive a white 2019 Chevrolet Bolt, and it greatly resembles a stormtrooper helmet, so I have the Imperial logo on the tailgate. The Empire doesn't care about your stick figure family decal with a TIE fighter and an AT-AT walker blowing up some stick figures and some Arabesh, Star Wars Galactic Basic text that reads, "Honk if you can read this." I quickly explained to her that I'm not a terrorist. This is all Star Wars stuff, including the Star Wars writing. It's not any language on this planet or in this galaxy, let me assure you. Thankfully, she realized her mistake really quickly. She sputters out a quick, "Oh, sorry," jumps back in her car and drives away. Thankfully, that was the end of it. Some people, I swear, I'm not going to have political messages on my car. That's a great way to get it vandalized. Karens don't know what Arabic looks like. They just know that it isn't American, and everyone that doesn't speak American is a commie terrorist. And our second story. Fired if I don't work that day? Made it my last day. A few years back, I worked on a relief crew on a drilling rig. The rig ran 24 hours a day with 3 shifts. Crews worked 6 days, then 2 days off. My crew would replace a working crew so they could have their 2 days off, so we worked mornings 2 days, then afternoons, and then nights. It was common to find someone to take a shift if you wanted an extra day off, but the replacement had to have the same abilities. A crew had a driller, derrick hand, motorman, chain hand, and floor hand. People started as floor hand, and as they learned, they would work their way up with more responsibility and more pay. Sometimes when someone changed companies, they might take a lower position, so it was common to have someone with derrick hand capabilities working motor or chain. In September, my wife asked about the chances of getting off for Christmas. I checked the calendar and my days off fell on December 24th and 25th. Done deal. I have it scheduled off. Then I decided to sweeten the pot. I found a guy who would work December 22nd and 23rd for me. Also found one who would work the 26th and 27th. I took this to my driller, who agreed they could work for me. With my 6 days off, I could drive 400 miles to visit family. Things looked pretty sweet. Too sweet. The other guys on my crew were in the same position, so they all tried to find replacements, and 2 were successful. Unfortunately, the driller only had 3 other guys on the rig who could work for him, and none of them wanted to help. He got mad and said since he couldn't get the time off, none of us could have it off. I reminded him that he had already approved my time, and he said that was canceled, and if I didn't work on December 23rd, then I was a runoff, MF, fired. I told him fine. I'll work the 23rd, but that'll be my last day of work. Consider this my 3-month notice. At work, nothing much was said for the next few weeks. Outside of work, I was networking and found another job I could start the first week of January. All was set. At the end of my shift on the 23rd, I emptied my work locker and said my goodbyes. The driller barely acknowledged me. Went home and drove to see family the next day, spent a relaxing week there, and then came back to start my new job. About the end of January, I went to a friend's birthday party. There I saw one of my old crew. He asked me when I was going to go back to work. The driller thought I was just sulking around and would come crawling back. He never hired a replacement, and they'd been working shorthanded for over a month. I said he better hire somebody. I wasn't playing games, and when I said I quit, I meant it. This is what happens when management treats skilled employees like garbage. They lose them. And our next story. Getting back at a crappy GM. About 4 years ago, I worked at a large chain restaurant known for serving chicken wings. I was the takeout department in the back of the place, handling the phone calls that came in to place orders and such. The general manager of this establishment was a real dirtbag, the kind of coked-out corporate stooge who was about 20 years into letting the restaurant business consume his life and happiness. He had a particular dislike to me for the cardinal sin of quietly but visibly displaying a lower level of stress, general happiness, and getting along amicably with all my coworkers. I just couldn't be bothered to get emotionally invested in an $8.75 an hour job. The thing was, I was trying to be a server so I could make that dollars, cash money, and GM had promised me a promotion to serving within 6 months of working there. Cut to a year and a half later, still working takeout. GM would go on to do a bunch of crappy things during my tenure, such as changing the schedule on a Tuesday and calling me Wednesday asking why I'm not at work. We use a paper schedule in BOH, and it normally changes Sunday, and writing me up for being on my phone on break out of uniform. Also being stuck in takeout at the back of the restaurant while he dangled a serving job in front of my face for a year was starting to wear on me. He also refused to let me cash out for 4 hours one time, trapping me in takeout because someone else couldn't come in and I missed my sister's graduation. But I'm over it. He was just generally pretty malicious and mean-spirited, leering over the female staff and playing nice with the girls who were too concerned about their jobs to be visibly creeped out by him. And then towards me and the male staff, he was at times downright hostile. One encounter I distinctly remember is this. I generally avoided GM and interacting with him so as to avoid conflict, and one day he comes up to me as I'm loading a tray of ranch in the walk-in cooler. So you never smile when I see you in the kitchen, but you're always laughing and smiling when you see the other servers and the cooks and other managers' names. Do you not like me? Why don't you smile? Clearly baiting me into saying some crap, but I just slapped on my biggest, fakest, most F-you smile and said, "Sir, I save it for the guests who come into our restaurant." Pissed him off to no end. The best revenge was during October. We were running a promotion for the Boys and Girls Club, so you were encouraged to ask guests to donate on each other. That morning, GM made some crappy comment about me being a lazy worker who'd never raise anything for a good cause like this, etc., etc. Unfortunately for him, in order to input a donation in the POS, the computers had thumbprint readers and you needed a manager's thumb to put a donation into the system. Because F trusting your employees. But also, unfortunately for him, he was a pack-a-day smoker and the back door that he used to go smoke was right next to the takeout counter. It became my mission to only solicit donations for the Boys and Girls Club while he was out back smoking so I could pop out back and ask for his thumbprint. Because this guy's only solace at that job was the back porch for 5 minutes smoking a cigarette every half hour, and I was going to disrupt that peace. He saw what I was doing and was infuriated, but I'm raising money for charity. It's not like he could actually reprimand me. That October, I raised $650 for charity just to spite my manager and ruin every smoke break he tried to take. Of course, this only escalated things, and he got crappier and crappier, so I quit not long after. But seeing my name with double the amount of donations as anybody else in the restaurant felt good on my last day. Beautiful revenge. Not only was it deliciously petty, but also contributed to a good cause. And our last story. HOAs and their dirty actions. In 2005, I bought a home in an HOA in Suffolk, Virginia. Steeplechase, so others can avoid it. In 2007, it was foreclosed on by the bank, which was my fault. In 2009, Steeplechase Owners Association filed 2 lawsuits against me for fees that incurred in 2009, 2 years after I no longer owned the property. They could have easily found my home of record, as it's what was still on my driver's license, but instead they sent the summons to the house I used to own and to my ex-girlfriend, who also lived there with me when I owned it. So needless to say, I never got the memo. After getting 2 default judgments against me totaling over $7,000, they still neglected to bring this to my attention until the spring of 2015, when I suddenly found out that almost $2,000 was frozen in my bank account. I panicked and paid it that time, but in the spring of 2017, I looked in my account one day to find that the entirety of my accounts, both checking and savings, was frozen. This was over $10,000. When I called the bastards' lawyers, they told me that it didn't matter that I didn't own the property during the time the fees incurred, and that I would still have to pay them. Unfortunately, I was not recording all my phone calls at that time. I later lawyered up and am trying to get the original judgment overturned after they sent me a notice telling me that they were going to try to garnish my wages in a new lawsuit for the garnishment. The same week I hired a lawyer, all the money frozen in my account was taken out in a check addressed to the HOA, long before there was any hearing about it. The odd thing is that this paperwork came from lawyers in Texas instead of Virginia, where all this is taking place. The hearing's still scheduled for next month, but they already have my money. This is not an isolated incident either. When I looked up the lawsuit against me, I also looked up all the lawsuits this HOA had filed in court. There were over 200 lawsuits filed in this one court by this one HOA. This isn't even them trying to recoup money they believe was owed to them. These bullcrap lawsuits are a key part of their business model. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.